Gintare? We decided that for August that today I make this thing about Ukraine, 1 minute of silence, and after that we suggest that August today is not leading this and next will be and maybe you can continue or maybe you can together.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Together with Bartosz.
We do it together.
Να σου φέρουν μια καρέκλα εκεί και μια καρέκλα στο Βούλγαρο. Ναι. Πέστε να σου φέρουν 2 καρέκλες. Έξω στο ξενοδοχείο, στα παιδιά.
Okay, I need a schedule then. I'll do that. Yeah, no problem.
And now I would like to pass the floor to Bartosz
To Bartosz?
to start the working session.
Okay. It's the beginning of.
That's yours.
Yes.
Dear colleagues. Oh. Okay, but I will do it from here.
Yeah, I think from your position.
Do it from here.
Yeah. It's time.
I know.
What is? We can start or.
But your English is much better than mine, so I'm really very thankful for doing this.
That's okay.
And
I will give the floor to people. That's my job to do. That's fine.
well, it's a really hard job.
I know. I have to be focused, not being on my phone. I know.
How long we are waiting?
1 minute.
Good morning, dear colleagues. I call for everyone attention. Before we start the working session, the organizer of this conference would like to ask for your attention. Exactly 1 year ago, on 23rd of February, Russia started a war against Ukraine. For 12 months, 365 days, we are witnessing the horror what is happening right beside the EU. An independent sovereign country in the middle of Europe is under blatant military attack. And we must stand together with Ukraine in fighting back against the aggressor till the victory. The battle is our battle. Today, we would like to invite all to honor with a minute of silence those brave men and women who lost their lives while defending their homeland and us. Also, all the innocent victims, including children, who must have lived and contribute to the prosperous future of Ukraine. A minute of silence, please. Thank you. And now I would like to pass the floor to Bartosz to start the working session, please.
Thank you very much, Agne. Thank you very much for that and for your gesture of solidarity with Ukraine. Yesterday we have started our session with the opening remarks from Notice, from Gerhard and from Agne and myself. And we have been Madam Commissioner Ylva Johansson. She joined us last night. So if I can ask Madam Commissioner to open the discussion for today, and I would like to pass the floor to you, Madam. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bartosz. Good morning, everybody. Yes, as Agne just said, we woke up this morning 1 year ago with war in Europe, with this aggression from Putin invading a sovereign neighboring country. And I think in these days we all remember a bit what we did then. And for me, I remember waking up that morning and realizing immediately a lot of things has to be done. There had to be sanctions, they had to reach out to the UN, there had to be resolutions, there had to be weapons. But in all crises, you have to focus on what's your duty and focus on delivering that. And I realized we're going to have refugees. This is really what's going to happen. And you know, only the first day, I got a report of 44,000 Ukrainian refugees entering. The day after, another 100,000 had arrived. And there was enormous efforts from Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia to receive all these. Over the weekend, we had over 1 million arrivals from Ukraine. And many of you also remember that this was the Thursday where the war started. And already on Sunday, we had an extraordinary council where I proposed that we should activate the temporary protection directive that's been there for 20 years and never been used. And let me be a little bit personal. I was responsible in 2015 in Sweden. You know, in 2015, 2016, we had 2 million refugees coming during 2 years. Here we had 2 million in 2 weeks. Yeah, but you remember, this was a crisis in 2015. I remember when it was in Sweden, standing, looking at, you know, thousands of people coming, walking over the bridge from Copenhagen, filling all the schools and sport halls with the extra beds to accommodate all the refugees. And I said to myself this time, I'm the responsible commissioner. We're not going to leave member states alone. This really needs a European response. No member state should be alone with the pressure that is caused by this war and the refugee situation. So after the first extraordinary council on Sunday, I went directly to the airport, visited the border in Siret in Romania. It was cold, it was winter, as you remember, it was snow. And all the women and children mainly coming, and the extra tents that the Romanian has set up. I went from there to Slovakia. I went to Poland, to Medica. And at that moment, when I was there together with you, Bartos, there were 20,000 crossing per day at that situation. So, and we saw the border guards that did an enormous professional good job. We saw all the volunteers. That was really heartwarming. We saw all the local and regional authorities, national authorities, doing a real great job in this situation. But we also realized that this was not enough. We have to stand united for Ukraine, for the Ukrainian refugees, but just in support of ourselves between the member states. We need a European response. So 1 week after the war broke out, on Thursday, we had the ordinary council. And many of you were in the room then, remembering, at least I had this feeling, this is the moment we have to deliver, because we have seen other constellations also of ministers and the European Union acting with the unity and the strength that surprised Putin. And we did as well. So we managed to have this unanimous decision to activate the temporary protection directive. And I think this great moment of unity that we still have, I must say, of course, I will not, I should lie if I should say there are no challenges with 4 million Ukrainian refugees. Of course there are. And some member states are more affected than others. But overall, I must say that we are managing this pretty well, and much better than we managed 2 million back in 2015, 2016. So that means we have gone through a journey where we have learned lessons and where now we are working much better together. We also saw that 1.5 years ago when Lukashenko tried to use migrants to instrumentalize them, to have them pay for the flight tickets and then more or less force them or trick them into the woods and into the European Union, crossing the borders. He thought that he could create a migration crisis in the European Union because he assessed that migration is our weak point. And it used to be a weak point, but we showed that we could act in unity and with strength together. And also together with our partner countries. You remember we reached out to airline companies, to the international community. Myself, I spoke to Guterres in the United Nations personally, and also to a lot of countries of origin. And we managed that crisis. So I must say that we have shown that we can act in unity when it comes to migration. Coming back again to this war, you heard Putin's speech this week. It's clear that he's going to continue this war. He has not changed at all. He would like to destroy Ukraine. That's his aim. He would like to destroy NATO, but we should not be naive. He also would like to destroy the European Union. He would like to weaken us and to divide us. He's afraid of us. Well, we have no armed forces. We have no air force. We have no navy. But we are still a huge threat to Putin because we have democracy, we have freedom, we have prosperity. So I think it's important that we hold on to our unity and to our strength. We have to support Ukraine. Ukraine has to win, and Putin must lose. This is absolutely necessary. It's also about our future. If Putin wins, there will be the end of the international rule-based order as we know it. The war started as an unprovoked attack by a superpower against its much smaller neighbor, with threats of terrible destruction against anyone who dared to intervene. It's like a bully beating up someone half their size and shouting to bystanders, "Keep out of it or you're next." And if Putin wins, there will be a world full of bullies. There will be a world where might is right. A world where the strong bully the smaller. A world where countries settle their difference not around the negotiating table, but on the battleground. The exact opposite of the European idea. A world where war crimes, torture, murder, rape are not prosecuted but celebrated, as is already happening in Russia. A world where nuclear weapons are not a deterrent never to be used, but an instrument of daily blackmailing. If Putin wins, he will not stop at Ukraine. And this is not only about Russia. China is waiting. China is watching, waiting for us to be weak. And I have no doubt others are also watching and waiting. But if we make Putin lose, not only does Ukraine survive, our world survives, based on rules, based on law, based on what's right. And we will prevent a downward global spiral of violence. The conclusion of this is that we are living now in a new global geopolitical context. It's about migration, it's about security, and it's about borders. The world has changed. And that puts the European Union in a new position. And that's why I think that the focus on border management, but it's the focus for this conference, is very timely. We have seen the importance of protecting our external borders, but also the importance of having well-functioning borders also to welcome refugees, as we did with the Ukrainians. This week, Dutch military intelligence reported on Russian agents mapping critical infrastructure with a view to sabotage. And they said, 24th of February, will have more impact on us than the 9th of 9/11. The Swedish intelligence agency Säpo this week said Russia's war of aggression has changed the European security order. Last year, member states expelled 400 Russian spies from the European Union. They left through the front door. We should not let them in through the back door. We continue to welcome dissidents, independent journalists, refugees from Putin's regime, but we increase our vigilance at the borders. We made it much more difficult for Russians to enter the EU with the new decisions that I proposed on the visa facilitation and the guidelines. We need stricter checks on visa application and greater security at our borders. The 7th of March, the new updated Schengen information system will come into force. That will give us new opportunities, and you should make full use of it. But can I also have a word of warning? Today, only half of those entering the European Union on a visa are being checked against the Schengen information system. That means we have a lot of Russians, for example, that are not being checked towards CIS. So we have the possibilities to have a better protection. We should use all the possibilities that we have. We must make sure that our digital border management system are operational and that we can stop any foreign agents. Biometric checks will instantly expose them if they use different passports with different identities. New Schengen governance is already bringing more security with better evaluation and monitoring. And we must secure an agreement on the Schengen's border code that is already on the table and where the Council has a position. We also need to negotiate with the Parliament. And we need to welcome Romania and Bulgaria into Schengen this year so they can fully contribute to the police information exchange. In this new geopolitical reality, we must be united on migration. I think coming back again to 2015, that left us, we didn't manage that refugee crisis well. And that left us in a situation where member states were totally divided, where there was a blocked situation on migration, and migration was seen as a toxic policy area, difficult to find compromises on. This has been my main priority since I took office 3 years ago, to change this, to make migration into a normal policy area. Of course, we do not always agree on everything. Of course, we can't not always solve everything with a perfect decision, but that's the case in all other areas as well. But we can stay together, we can act together, and we can make very important steps. And now we are in a much better position. We have shown that how we have acted towards Lukashenko, towards Putin, and we need to continue have all the legislative files on the pact negotiated and decided during this mandate. That will be that Nicole will be the last one in a year from now to conclude what's left. So the very high pressure now on the Swedish presidency and of you all, and then for the Spanish presidency, of course, to continue so that we manage to have a proper legislative basis. I think that what happened in the last European Council was a new atmosphere. And we have seen it in our council many times, where of course not everybody agrees on everything, and that's very seldom the case. But there is an understanding that our destinies are linked to each other, that we depend on each other, and there is a willingness to understand the situation that another member state is in, and also that we need to help and support each other. I think this is a very, very good way where we can continue to show progress. We have also acted, as you know, on the different action plans that I have proposed, and we have already, we can see quite a significant decrease of the arrivals through the Western Balkan route. Of course, more needs to be done, but we have also shown that when we act together as Team Europe, and also reaching out to third countries together, we can achieve a lot. It's important also that we improve our external border protection. And I must say that when the commission, this commission, we proposed for the MFF, you know, the 7-year budget, quite a lot of new money for border protection. 11.4 billion, I think it was. And the minute this proposal reached the Council, the first decision was to cut it in half. I think it was the biggest cut in all the proposals that we made in the budget. So now we have 6 point something billions for border protection. This is not enough. So I must say that we need to use the money we have for border protection in the most intelligent way so that we can get the best out of it. I was visiting Agne in Lithuania last week. And I think really in Lithuania, we have now a really good situation. We have EU borders as now possibly the most integrated border protection system in the European Union that you have. protected by state-of-the-art equipment. And without EU support, this system would not exist. There is an example on how EU and member states make the most out of limited budgets, everything adding maximum value. Lithuania paying for a physical barrier, and EU covering the overwhelming part of the cost for advanced technology, a super modern video and motion-triggered surveillance system, protecting the borders for years to come in this new geopolitical context. Yes. What I also would like to say after the European Council, we are working, of course, to deliver on all the conclusions out of the European Council, what is very much aligned with what we already have agreed in our Council. So one of the things I would like to mention is the importance that we work on swift procedures at the borders. We are in a situation right now where we have a lot of migrants that are coming for economic reasons. And they use the asylum system or abuse the asylum system because it's possible to do that. And that's why we need swifter processes already at the borders for those that are not eligible for international protection. We also need to come back to a functioning Dublin system. We need to implement a Dublin roadmap. And in parallel, we need to continue implementing the voluntary solidarity mechanism. So, what I would like to conclude with. We are in a situation where we are threatened by aggression and war from Putin. We are living in a new geopolitical context. We have shown that we are strong together. We answered with unity and with strength in a way that surprised Putin and sometimes also surprised ourselves, I must say. And we have shown that migration is not an issue that should divide us. It's an issue that needs to be managed together. And we can do that when we work together in the European Union, but also with our partner countries. And we need to show that, continue, that we are working together, we support each other, and that we are united. And we all know that at our borders, a lot of important things goes on, and sometimes also tragic ones. We had a situation recently in Bulgaria where they found 8 dead bodies in a lorry. I know here in Greece it's an ongoing. You rescued 13 people on Samos recently, but sometimes also there are also dead bodies that are found. So it's really where you have a lot of, it's about humanity, it's about fundamental rights, it's about security, and it's protecting our integrity. And all of this happens at our borders. And of course, that's why it's important that we support each other and work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I'm pretty certain that Putin's dream to establish Third Russian Empire from Vladivostok to Lisbon is not going to happen, and I'm pretty certain that he already knows that. He's going to lose. So, get back to our